Doubles and coffee. Let me just tell you once again how sick Guardian Media Limited is. How sick the PNM fake news media is. I just watched on Facebook an interview with a reporter behind a CNC3 microphone grilling Minister Roger Alexander about radar and border security. Minister Alexander taking his time and saying, one, the Prime Minister has spoken on the radar issue. Two, technology assists people. Technology keeps people safe. Technology is very important. He even spoke about new technology that he's bringing, which involves ballistics when a gun is fired and so on. But this reporter, who obviously is not interested in the truth or the information coming from the government, continued to try to grill and grind and go at an angle that he and his media house, Guardian Media Limited, CNC3, wanted and required. But I was aghast at what came out of that reporter's mouth, a journalist's mouth, in 2025, December 2025. You know what one of his follow-up questions was when Minister Roger Alexander said that the PNM had left the borders unprotected, had left the borders porous, that the radar thing that PNM fake news media showed something spinning, that it wasn't working. There were cabinet notes that I'm aware of over the last 4 or 5 years that were designed to improve the radar, to make sure it worked, to get parts, to spend money, to maintain the radar. And the PNM government did not approve those cabinet notes. But do you know, in response to Roger Alexander's factual presentation, as I have told you ad nauseum for years, pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID, I showed you all videos, doubles and coffee, of all the vessels parked up at Stobles Bay, none patrolling. I showed you when we fishing whole day, the entire sea open between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago. I showed you no helicopter. I told you about no radar, no air guard. The air guard planes, when I was in the Senate grilling Small Pinion, had no radars on it, and the PNM didn't buy it. Why did the PNM leave our borders open? Why did the PNM leave our borders porous? Even during COVID, when you couldn't come home, our borders were open and illegal migrants were coming in their hundreds per day, bringing every variant known to man onto the shores of Trinidad and Tobago, with 5,000 people eventually succumbing to COVID. None of the COVID came through the airport. It all came through the porous borders. Do you know what the CNC3 reporter said? He said, well, Minister, some will say that it was the People's Partnership Government that cancelled the OPV contract back in 2010 to 2015 that left the borders unprotected. This is a statement from a so-called journalist of CNC3 Guardian Media Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, the facts of the matter remain that then Attorney General Anand Ramlogan, in an arbitration against BAE Systems during the contractual dispute, when Patrick Manning had ordered OPVs, big war vessels that were designed to have laser targeting shooting system and guns that could hit fast running, drug running boats and destroy them, similar to what is happening right now with the USA's intervention. The problem was, for the final time, 13 years later, because the successful arbitration was November 2012. And listen carefully to all who stick break in the ears. Anand Ramlogan, the Attorney General of the People's Partnership, the Attorney General of Kamla Anand's government, in November 2012, won, I repeat, won the arbitration against BAE Systems for contractual breach because the laser targeting system, the shooting, the guns, it's a warship, the guns weren't working. And Anand Ramlogan received for Trinidad and Tobago $1.4 billion returned. The original contract was $1.5 billion. Anand Ramlogan got back $1.4 billion, which meant the arbitrators agreed with the government that what the government was purchasing was not what they were getting. And therefore, the government got back our money, the money of the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and a surplus of $340 million. Kamla Anand then went on to buy 12 Daman vessels to protect our borders, fast-moving vessels which the PNM left without servicing, parked them up. 2 Chinese vessels. There were vessels, there were radar, there was helicopters, there was air guard, all protecting our borders. But a Guardian media reporter 13 years later is repeating and spewing the lies of the PNM about OPV, and the Guardian itself had a headline back then that said government loses $1.4 billion. They never corrected the record. They never retracted. And now 13 years later, the little dunce journalists, the lying propagandists are still pushing that nonsense. Go and check. Go back to November 2012 and read all articles on the arbitration between the government of Trinidad and Tobago and BAE Systems. The OPVs were not working. They are warships that could not shoot. It's like Rowley without horny goat weed. It was not working. So to come here now, in this day and age, these CNC3 ridiculous Guardian media, PNM propagandists and liars, talking and pushing that on a news station, asking a minister who was not there, who was not around, who was not in politics, who probably doesn't know anything about that because that was 13 years ago. He was doing some other job at some other place. But you're coming there to ask that stupid question based on lies and propaganda of the PNM, to put this nonsense, to try to equate the UNC with the PNM. The UNC and the PNM are totally different. The PNM left our borders unprotected. The PNM left our vessels parked up. The PNM did not buy diesel for vessels to patrol. The PNM did not facilitate the air guard. The PNM shut down the helicopters. The PNM did not buy new radars for the air guard planes. 20 out of 23 pilots from the air guard left. The PNM did not protect the border. The radar was not functioning. The radar was parked up. A thing spinning in the air is not a radar. The borders were left so unprotected, a boat of dead floating. All you forget. And no Coast Guard knew. Nobody knew. It nearly landed on Tobago. The dead nearly walked onto land. Another vessel was towing oil and run aground on a reef outside Tobago. And the radar didn't pick it up because the radar was not working. And yet the PNM and PNM fake news media continue to spew this lie for 13 years. Do you understand how sick this PNM is? Do you understand how the fake news media is? That's why I tell you, reject CNC3, reject Guardian Media Limited, reject Express, reject OCM, reject Newsday, reject the TV6, reject the 13 radio stations that spew PNM nonsense. Could you believe a journalist in this day and age would have factual situation that anyone could read and research? I want each and every citizen to go and read about the arbitration won by Anand Ramlogan SC, Senior Counsel Attorney General of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, in November 2012 against BAE Systems regarding the OPVs. The OPVs were not working. The laser targeting system was not working. Therefore, there was a breach of contract, and Anand Ramlogan, Kamla Anand, and the People's Partnership government won back we money. We got back the money. $1.4 billion had we just cancelled the contract for no reason, to leave the borders unprotected for whatever fallacious, nonsensical, stupid, asinine concept that the PNM is trying to throw on the UNC. When Kamla Anand don't make joke with the borders, when Kamla Anand keeps her people safe, and right now you can see that she wants no drugs, no guns, no gun runners, no narco terrorists, no cartels, no human traffickers operating in and around her borders. Kamla Anand not making no joke. The PNM left the borders open. The PNM must answer why. Why is the PNM against attacking the cartels and narco-terrorism? How did Balize House $140 million go up after PNM in 2013 was $4 million in the red? Who are their financiers? What do they do? What are they involved in? Why is the U.S. against the narco-terrorists like that? Why is the PNM against the U.S. for being against cartels, drug runners, and gun runners? The PNM must answer. And no amount of PNM media could try to equate the UNC and the PNM. Kamla is fighting against the drug runners and the cartels. Kamla needs to be protected and kept safe. So this PNM journalist, this PNM CNC3 Media, Guardian Media Limited journalist that says spewing lies and false propaganda through his mouth, questioning a minister 13 years later. Everybody, including that dunce journalist, go and read the arbitration. Go and read what happened. The government won back its money because the warships were not working. The guns were not firing. The laser targeting system was not functioning. Therefore, the vessel was not what was ordered and was not fit for purpose. And the government got back its money, $1.4 billion. I hope I lay this to rest. And if any of you citizens are still paying attention to CNC3 or Guardian Media PNM Limited, stop it. It is nasty, it is disgusting, and it is dishonest, just like Rowley and the PNM. Bless.